Hello everybody and welcome back. Hope you're having a great weekend. Today we're going to go through some more design ideas for you and your Animal Crossing New Horizons village. Hello, my name is Gary from the NintendoVillage.com, and if you're new here, basically what we do is we show you some designs and some of our towns to give you some ideas of things that you might want to do to your little island. And so today we're going to be starting off by looking at something we did in the last video, which actually moved now. So this is my main residential services, which everybody's got, right? You'll see that I do things like this, where a lot of my villagers are clumped up. This is actually from the start of the game because I'm a little bit later. This is a fresher island than a lot of people's out there. And the reason is basically I moved them all together to give myself the room on the rest of the map to move things around. And I think that's important when it comes to designing stuff on Animal Crossing, right? You need to basically plan ahead. So if there's any way that you can help yourself, then do that. And I'll show you some more little things I do and little tips and tricks in a second. But basically last episode I showed you how to make this little fountain area. Well, that is now behind my town hall. I showed you in a bit of a blank space last time, but this is what it looks like now, and I think it works really well. It's the only thing I don't like about it is that you have to walk through the flowers to get in. So if you guys have got any hints or anything that you think I could improve upon on this, then please let me know in the comments below. But I think this area is quite nice, and it's really good when you're online and you've got a bunch of people together, because you can all sit on the seats at the same time. So you can bring up that chat box and, you know, you can just stay in the one area. It's really quite nice, to be honest. And so going from there, you'll see that my waterways on the map in the bottom right are quite natural. There's not actually much I changed about them. I'll be going through waterways in a different video, but I think that it's important to try and keep the map looking natural. So whatever you can do to its natural state to keep, then I would go ahead and do that. But obviously you're going to change a few things. Like here, I actually cut a few lumps and bumps out, and the reason is just because this is like a man-made area. I wanted it to have that feel that it's been crafted that way. And obviously by my voice, I'm English, and a lot of canals are like this in England as well. Also, I think it's really important to not shove fences and stuff around these outsides, and the reason is because when it comes to stuff like the fishing tournaments, you don't want anything that you make to actually get in the way of stuff like that. So I did used to have the museum here, and the back of it blocked the canal and the river, and it sort of made troubles when it came to the fishing tournaments. So I think it's important to leave everything accessible, and that's what I've tried to do here, and that's why I've put little benches out on these little sticky outy ridges. Like, that is not something that I've designed to be like that. It's something that I've used the natural land to design something around it, and I think that's important to make it look quite natural and stuff. Now these are a bit of a work in process. A lot of this map is, so you can always think ahead and try and find something else to put there to make it look a bit more full, because that looks a bit barren to me, and it doesn't look bad, but it does look like it needs something there. And from there we're going to show you this little area that you can see at the back. So if we pop over the bridge here, you'll see that I've tried to complement this with these two lights. I've put them down on the little terracotta slab each, and then put the flowers around, and I've tried to keep everything quite color coded. So you'll see that most of this area is orange, and then as we move on to these benches, I've tried to highlight the bench areas with the yellow hyacinths and put bushes behind them. One of the things I like to do is create a sense of scale, so I think it's important to put smaller things in front and then bigger things at the back. It does kind of go against that with this little fencing area, but I quite like the fact that it looks like a bit of a park, where you've got the water feature at the back with the flowers at the front, and it's all separated by that fence, so people can't get back there. And this was actually quite a bit of one of the changes to the waterway that I made. That river at the top there, the bit of a pond, actually connected up to the top left of the map. This is a work in process up here, so I took all that out because I wanted my campsite there. But basically we made that into a bit of a water feature, so that when you walk over the bridge you had the nice waterfalls there, and we extended it across so that it looked like it was actually into all these flowers as well. I quite like this area. It's a nice little spot. Again, it's not intrusive for like the fishing and stuff. You can still fish from anywhere on there. That's why I put flowers at the front instead of the bushes at the front, so you can still get everywhere you need to if it comes to fishing. And what I also like to do is not make too many square paths, and I know it looks like that at the minute where everything looks quite man-made and square on. But that's why here I've got a little bit of a kink to try and make it look a bit more like an actual town or village. And we've got one of the villagers' houses here. It's under development, but for now I've put temporary sort of gardens in all of their towns so that they've just got something to look at if somebody comes into your island, just to make it look like it's a little bit lived in at least. But I also use them as basically places to grow flowers. Now I have got a new area for that, which I'll show you in a second. But basically, when I don't like to plant the flowers straight into these holes from seeds and then let them grow. I think it's much nicer if you've got the completed area in a session, so that you can do this entire stretch with the flowers, with the bushes, with the benches, the lamps, everything in one go, and you've got a finished product at the end of it. I don't really like working on stuff and then having to wait 2 or 3 days for stuff to grow. So I'll show you that in a second. But one other thing I do like to do, and it is again talking about the sense of scale, is when I come over this bridge here, you got the flowers in the front, then that stone wall and a tree. Now I'm going to show you the back of that end, and the reason is because there is nothing there basically. But if you're going across the pathways in my town, you would never know that there's nothing there. You'll only see that area. Now this is going to be worked upon, it is going to be developed, but I think it's important to sort of mask things, so it just gives that sense that it's more complete. So as you come up here, you know, you've got this nice little area, you've got the little edges of the houses with the flowers in. Again, like I said, they're not finished, it's just a place to grow flowers for now. And you come across and there you go. You can't really see that there's nothing at the back of it. I've put the one tree there just to sort of fill it out a little bit. But what I would normally do is put flowers in front of the tree, and then bushes or some of these little shrubs, and then the tree, just to again give it that sense of scale. But for now it's just there to basically mask that there's nothing. So as I was talking about with a place to grow flowers first, this is actually a bit of a flower farm. I did make this, I've got more than one person living on my file, and it was one of those guys. But this was the idea that I had with them, to grow the flowers and then to transfer them across. And as you can see, there's a few in the path. That's actually because they've been breeding, so that wasn't the idea, but obviously they do anyway. So you get more out of it anyway. But you'll see here that we've got these hyacinths in yellow and pink, and then you've got the holes at the back. That's actually because I've used those for another section of the video I'll show you in a bit. But basically we grew them here and then transferred them across. And to transfer them, all you do is get your shovel out and dig them up. And then whenever you find a place to put them down, you can either go into your inventory and just click plant on any flower like that. Or if you want a bit more accuracy, what I'd suggest you do is get out your shovel, dig the hole directly in front of you, and then plant with the shovel equipped, and it'll plant it into the hole. It's just one of those things. Sometimes Animal Crossing, you'll go to plant something in front of you, you'll face in front, and then it'll plant it at the back. So just digging that hole just gives it that little bit more accuracy. And again, we've got another place there where we've got flowers which are just growing, but we've actually planted them in a sequence to grow. I did this one, and again, they're breeding, so there's a few new extra ones ending up in the pass as well. I'll go through some flower breeding another time. We haven't really done it on this island as of yet. It's basically just a store, but it's one of those things where it's just nice to keep them out of the way while they're developing. And as you'll see here, another house like I was on about, just filling in space. This is more developed, but it's still not really, you know, exactly what we want from a house. But I've just threw a few things together outside just to make it look a bit lived in. So you've got the washing stuff there. You've got 2 items that are along the same lines of washing. So it makes it look like this guy's been out, put his washing out, and then he's drying it straight after as well. So it just gives it that sense it's a little bit lived in. But we do need to develop these houses. So in a later video I will be doing villager garden design, so that there'll be more information for you guys, or ideas at least, that you could maybe steal to get your villagers looking like they're living in an habitable place rather than just a load of houses on an island. And so you may be wondering where my house is and what's on the way there. Well, you'll actually see, as I was saying about it being a developing map, where I dumped the villagers down in the bottom right hand corner altogether is because I've got so much free space to do whatever I want with now, that I've got lots of ideas and lots of place to develop. I've moved the campsite up to here when I could, This place is actually a river that connected down to that pond into the town. But I wanted to clear it up and give it a bit more space and make it like surrounded by water for the campsite there. And I moved the museum up to here. Again, this was just, it was rough rocks. There was cliffs everywhere and they were in a funny shape. So I've just neatened them up a little bit. I've broke the edges to try and make it look a bit more natural, but I want to do a bit more of that soon as well. And I moved the museum up to here. Again, unfinished area, so I'll show you that, guys, that once it's complete. But I think it's important to sort of plan ahead and make sure that things are out the way. As you can see here, we got that money maker. This is normally a cherry island, so these fruits actually sell for 500, these peaches. And I just grew them all 2 spaces apart so they bear fruit, just to sell to get some more money. You'll see my cherry trees there as well. But this is all blank. And then we come to where I actually live, which you guys might have seen if you saw my last video. So you come out over this island, and again, talking about that sense of scale, I've got the fence in front so people can't trample over the flowers at the back with a shrub highlight in the corner, and then I've got the bushes to just make it one level up so that you can't see there, and a tree in the middle. But I did find that tree was a bit bare, so what I've done is put some roses in the middle just to give it a bit more of a sort of compact feeling. And from there, if you come around, you'll see the 2 houses at the back there. Mine is actually the one on the less built up one, and that's because I've been spending all my money developing the town rather than my actual house. But you'll see that I've got these fences and the same design both sides, just to give it a sense that it's actually made like that, like we've made it in sort of a balance, even though you'll see that they're not in line. And again, that goes to me liking these curved paths and stuff like that, making it a bit more natural. And you should always round the corners of your paths off if you want that effect as well, because if they're just square, it makes it look too man-made. And you'll see my turnip farm, which I'm actually developing again soon, because my turnip garden, sorry, because I just felt it's a little bit small and a little bit bare. Again, a lot of these tips and tricks that I give you will probably just be to work on something bigger. But it's always just nice to have something that looks complete, even if it isn't. And speaking of which, you can go down into my orchard here. Again, we're missing a tree. I've just took that one out to put somewhere else. But you'll see that it's incomplete, but it looks complete. So it looks like an actual design that I finally finished. And all that I did there was put the light dirt, then dark dirt, and then light dirt again, and then a path. And put the trees along the dark dirt. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but just to give it that sense that it's actually there and finished. Now, if you see my real fruit orchard in the town, it's a mess, and that's why I've done this. So it's out the way my other one is, and you can't get to it without using a ladder and a vaulting pole. But it just neatens things up a little bit. And the next thing I wanted to show you guys is actually a bit of a preview for the next video. Is some ideas that I'm working on for paving and fencing, and the way that you can make different designs along paths to make them feel like different areas. And this is eventually going to be the shopping area. So where I've put the shops at the minute, again, they're only there temporarily. I just dumped them down as soon as I got them open. And they'll be moving down to this seafront, because I wanted to make it like a seaside little town. But basically, the bushes have really added something to this game. As you'll see in my town, I'm quite a big fan of them, but this is a nice idea for, especially around houses and stuff like that. If you set the houses back so that they're like here where the trees are, then I think that having this dirt patch with the flowers in the front, followed by the bushes, and then followed by this fence in here, which I can't remember the name of it. What's it called again now? That's it, the coral fencing just gives it that, again, a sense of scale and the height. And it looks a lot better than just putting the coral fencing down in front of you like this, in front of a house, because it just doesn't look good. Like, even though you probably will see that in real life a lot, just giving it that sense of a depth with the flowers and stuff. And it also compacts the land a little bit. So if you're heading for a 5-star rating, obviously I haven't got the 5-star rating at the minute on this island because it's quite barren, but it likes to have a lot of stuff there, and this is just another way to sort of fill in the map to head to that 5-star. So if you want to see more on these paths, more on these garden ideas and stuff, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got a whole bunch of these videos coming out, including some island tours and more tips and tricks. So you know what to do. You tickle that like button and smash subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.